Hi, welcome to Parkinson's Disease Education. In this video, we're going to be discussing the 5 teaching principles behind LSVT big and LSVT loud and why they work. So sit down and join us for this video. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, you may have seen a short I did on this a few days ago. The 5 teaching principles behind LSVT big and LSVT loud are modeling, shape, drive, stabilize, and calibrate. So that's 5 principles. Those are used every single treatment session with every patient that goes through this protocol. If you watched my short previously, you know that these 5 principles are the reason that LSVT big and LSVT loud work. And that's not just personal opinion, it's also based on research. Now, LSVT programs are not meant for every single patient. Not everybody is a candidate for the program for various reasons, and we may not go into those details today, but I do want to share with you examples of these teaching techniques and why they work. So let's dive into these one at a time. First of all, we have modeling. Modeling is where the principle of the therapist providing all of the cueing through action. In other words, when I work with a patient doing LSVT big, my cue is, I want you to do exactly what I do and follow me, thereby eliminating all the needless cueing and talking that we tend to do as therapists. And with the neurological population, it's really important to bring those cues down enough to where the person can take in what's going on. Particularly with Parkinson's disease and other Parkinsonisms, we're focusing on the cue of big. Move big, do it like I do it. That way, they're focusing on moving as big as they can, whatever movement it might be. Regardless of how big they can move, they're going to try to move bigger based on that simple cue of move big and do it exactly as I do it. It's as simple as that. We are showing them with good quality movements how we want them to move, and that's how they learn to do it better themselves. Okay, the second principle is shape. So this is where we're taking modeling and cueing even further, and we're using a combination of visual and or tactile or touch cues to inform the person that they need to move bigger. So say for example, we're doing the floor to ceiling exercise. We would have put our hands forward, we go down toward the floor, reach up to the ceiling as big as we can, and hold it back. Now let's say their hands are kind of flat like this and their fingers are curled a little bit. Instead of saying a bunch of things, go over to the patient, put my hand over their hand, spread the fingers slightly, and cue them to open that hand up bigger, like so, or maybe slightly push the arm back into more extension. So that is shaping. There's no words, it's just, or if there are words, it's just open that hand up bigger. But a lot of times we're, with those seated exercises, we're doing sustained holds, so there's not really much need to say do it bigger. We're just trying to cue that bigger movement and have them hold it there. We do it for 8 reps, and so by the time we get to the 8th rep, hopefully they're starting to internalize that shaping cue that we're giving them. Also, you can tell that somebody's improving on that when all you have to do is give them a visual cue, perhaps something like this, to cue them to have bigger posture, move the arms back, open the hands more. And the person will, most of the time, respond to that favorably, especially as you move forward with sessions. The third principle is drive. So this is where neuroplasticity is going to occur. And that's the principle behind all of this. Neuroplasticity is a big word, but essentially what it means is changes made in the brain, or the brain's ability to adapt and change. So just keep that under your hat. But essentially with drive, this is where the therapist is really trying to work on getting the patient to recognize that they need to move bigger. And it's through not only visual but verbal cueing to move bigger. Is that as big as you can do it? Come on, let's do it bigger the next time. Let me hear that slap. Stomp those feet. You're trying to really drive that movement, because as a disease of low amplitude, Parkinson's disease results in poor muscle activation. So by driving the person to better movement, especially through that empowerment or motivational speech, and showing them, then they're going to imitate that and try to move with even more intensity. So with drive, we're overriding those negative effects of bradykinesia or slow movement, hypokinesia, small movements. We're improving the cognitive motivation as well, infusing energy or empowering the patient. And finally, the intensity of the exercise, that in itself produces physiological changes, not only in the brain, but also a spread of effects. We've got increased endurance, strength, balance. All of those things are changing and improving. Okay, the fourth principle is stabilize. So when we stabilize, what we're doing is we're showing a recognition that the patient is moving bigger and showing us the kind of thing we're looking for. If they correct their steps to be bigger when they notice that they weren't as big as they should have been, we'll say, hey, I noticed you started walking bigger. Keep doing that. That's great that you're recognizing that. Or without extra cueing, they step forward really big and have big posture and have a big finish. We say, yes, that's it. I want you to do that on the next 5 reps. Let's do it. Let's go. So we're trying to reinforce that and say, yes, we're giving them that feedback that that's what we're looking for. And that also in turn helps to drive those changes in the brain or the neuroplasticity. And finally, we have Calibrate. Calibration is one of my favorite things as an LSVT-certified therapist because it's that aha moment when you realize and recognize that the person you're working with has internalized the cue of big, and they've internalized the feeling of not moving big enough, and they can correct it on their own. Calibration is essentially when we've been focusing on this cue of big, how it looks and feels to move bigger, and especially when it's tied into specific functional tasks that are salient to the patient. And when we see those movements, especially when they're being self-corrected, we know that they're calibrating and that their brain is recognizing that there's a new level that they need to move in order to move more normally. That's when we know that neuroplasticity has occurred and that they can self-perceive that. So that's a pretty exciting moment as a therapist, and it's exciting for them too because they realize that they are able to move bigger when they really make that effort. Well, that's it on the 5 teaching principles in the LSVT Big programs. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and like and share this video if you found it valuable. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. As always, be empowered and have a great week.